talking about specific examples. Of course, when I read that, should the county decide additional training is necessary, training's offered to, you know, based on seniority. I mean, and so of course, immediately I go to, so the guy that's retiring next week, who is the most senior guy, that's who I have to offer the training to, which has no benefit to them.
No, I'll tell you what this came.
And that guy turns it down.
Hopefully.
I have turned numerous
But
trainings down to the
Yeah.
younger guys in my department because
Right.
I'm going out.
exactly.
Don't want it, don't need it, give it to the younger guys, they're here longer.
I agree with you, but if you didn't turn it down, because, you know, of sense, then what would happen is.
I would have probably been in training longer than I'm gonna be here.
But obviously that concerns us, right? That's an issue for the county, so that's why straight seniority language there doesn't work, but again, by departments, you know.
Where this came from was, and it kind of ties into promotions, where if I like Tom, I don't like Jim, and I know that Frank is retiring in 2 years from now, or a year from now, 6 months from now, guess what I'm gonna do with my buddy?
Yep.
I'm gonna start training him on the
Okay.
machine, grooming him, he's been here for 5 years longer than him, so wait a second, what about me? Oh, don't worry about him. And then when the job comes open, who's the most qualified for it? So that's where that comes from. It's just about being fair that, you know, in Citrus, Citrus County, they just have a question about that too, saying, well, what if we just train everybody? And I'm like, works for me. So whenever there's training, it's offered to everybody, that's all.
They got a few less employees than they do.
But that's just so you
No, I
know the root
understand.
of what
Okay.
was happening.
Very
So if
good,
you need to tweak it to make it work for you, but you know what the issue is,
Yeah,
right?
right, absolutely, thank you. Okay, layoff and recall, again, with the moving into the article, so I think I've already explained that. And the matrix is extremely, you know, we absolutely wanna use, performance, we absolutely wanna use discipline, we absolutely wanna use special skills. So, you know, to the extent that you want more seniority, you know, I can tell you that, you know, again, a straight seniority layoff, seniority absolutely should play a role, but it shouldn't play the only role. So, and I didn't read all of this, so I will do that, but maybe we can come up with a.
Yeah, fortunately, I think the economy is on a rebound, but, you know, it
Yeah, I don't
doesn't
think
mean to
it's
say
gonna
that there may not be a layoff because of a change in business practices such as outsourcing or subcontracting or something along those lines. You know, that could happen even in a robust economy. So, you know, we do have a need for, you know, having seniority. I mean, I don't remember the matrix percentages off the top of my head.
Okay.
You know, but I do know that, you know, we had to bargain in the past to get them to where they are.
Right, yeah.
But, you know, if that's gonna be the hang-up, we've been living with the language that's there.
Okay.
If that's gonna be a hang-up, the other stuff
Then we can
is
resolve some of
probably
the
more
issues
important to
around
us right now. If we have to slide back a little bit, I'm just gonna tip my
No,
hands. you know.
that's fair.
Well, we had tweaked the matrix, and I will use myself as a perfect example.
Yeah,
I told you I had 23 years in with Parks and Rec.
yeah,
I got laid off, that's how I was with utilities,
yeah.
and a guy that had a exemplary, whatever you call it. Evaluation, had 2 years on a job, he wound up keeping his job.
Okay.
Just, Doug is outspoken and, you know, and
Yeah.
he's probably got a bad evaluation, or even if it's not that, you know, Doug did something wrong, it's just that the other guy was just somebody's buddy, you know, and that's what we've been fighting.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can hear that over and over and over again, and it stinks that if it wasn't there, I wouldn't have anything to talk about.
Another point with seniority too is, we haven't really talked about it, but there's people that work in utilities, the electricians. Frank,
Yes.
there's people that's been, yeah, they've been hired, you know, as electricians in utilities, okay? Being paid more money than the guys that have been here for years, the guys who didn't get raises for 5 years or whatever it was.
Right.
And so they asked, well, what if we quit and come back to work? Will you pay us as much as you're paying these new people? And they said, no, we can't do that. So,
They'd have to wait a year before they could come back if they would hire them.
right.
But, yeah.
So we took, that's another part of seniority that's
Sure is.
Yeah.
really a
Well,
problem. And
and
it's, even in my department,
Well, the notes that I was writing and showing the planning board, libraries has definitely had been circumstances of people who, of staffers with less seniority were given supervisory or authoritative roles when there were many more staffers around who had a lot of experience and knowledge on how to do those processes, but were just, you know, ignored.
And
Or denigrated, disrespected to people, you know.
And I do want to make a general statement about wages, because I think it's really important, because I understand that for a very long time here, if you have a policy that says you hire everyone at the base, which I believe was the policy here for many years, okay? Unfortunately, I think, you know, the world of human resources changes so that we recognize that if we want to retain and attract good people, sometimes we have to bring them in above the base.
Right.
And I think we can all agree on that. Does it affect the people that have been here? Absolutely. And so then
It's
we're
totally
in-
unfair.
Well, unfair, yes and no, because here's what happens. Okay, my personal opinion. Anytime you start to identify as a workforce, as a workplace organization, that your wages were low and you need to raise them up in order to attract better people, you're also recognizing that your wage scales probably need to be adjusted overall, okay? Now,
Right.
the problem is, okay, and with every city and county anywhere, quite frankly, you can't just say, well, you know, we just hired Bob in, $1 an hour more, gotta bring everybody up $1. I mean, wouldn't it be great if we
Well,
could do that? Or
when you're only
right?
talking about 3 people, I
Well,
mean, you know.
We're talking about a
Yeah.
scale between $17
Right.
and something an hour to
Right.
$25 an hour.
Right, okay,
Big
but see,
difference.
so
Yeah.
here's what, and I know it takes patience and it takes time, but what ends up happening is, you know that we go out periodically, probably every 4 or 5 years for wage adjustments. I think you just had one in 2014, 13, 14. And quite frankly, that is when those disparities become more apparent and generally get rectified, and it's not gonna
But
rectify
ask
all-
Tom about that. How did that
I
rectify
didn't
it,
get
Tom?
anything other than goodies, but
Actually,
They-
that was.
Yeah, they brought up the people, they brought the people up that were lower
I said that-
to
he
close
said that
what
to
he
the
makes.
department,
Right,
So-
At one of our last staff development,
yeah,
at whatever staff development meeting we had after that,
right,
said, we know that what the assessment for library salaries was low,
yeah.
lower than it should have been.
Yeah, and unfortunately, some of it has to do with budget. I'm not, you know, like I said, the Cody study was done in 2013-14, and we are literally just the last year starting to see ad valorem taxes, and I know you guys all know how, you know, the property taxes, you know, work, and, you know, but the problem that we've had in government is that in 2008 and 9, you know, the property values tanked, probably
Yes.
25-30%. And the problem is, as a government, we don't get that back, but 3% a year, basically, because of the, you know, the homestead and the 3%. And yeah, absolutely, I mean, we, you know, I've negotiated contracts where they said, hey, if the ad valorem tax rate comes back to where it was in 2006, we all get this big raise. I mean, but, you know, we can agree to that on this side of the table, because we know that's not gonna happen, and it's
Well,
unfortunate.
I can tell you,
Excuse me,
Barbara.
it did happen, didn't it?
6 years.
No.
Didn't Mike Wells say there was an extra $4.8 million in a budget because of the increase in taxes?
No, and I'm sorry, if I misled, I was referring to the fact that it's not back to 2006 levels, is what I was referring
Right.
to. May there be money that comes in ad valorem taxes, yeah, we take the revenue and the budget, they give us the number every, I think it's July 1st, is it, that they, property appraiser gives us the number?
I can tell you, Barbara, I work in utilities.
Yeah.
So I do all the service connection applications for new homes.
Mhm.
It's millions of dollars.
Absolutely.
So, you know, when I hear people saying, we don't have any money, yeah, it's just not true. It's coming in. They are building subdivisions one after
Yeah.
another, millions
Yeah.
of dollars. I write that out.
No, and
So-
you're right, and that's delayed 2 years
Yeah.
essentially on our tax roll, and I
Right.
agree with you. It's
So-
just, it started to pick up like last year, year and
Okay,
a half.
anyway, I didn't want to digress.
No, it's
I'll be quiet. Yeah, okay.
And that's why I think, you know, the layoff article, I think to your point, you know, hopefully, we're not in the realm of seeing layoffs occur in the near future. The new home construction, the new, certainly there's a push to get more, you know, industrial. I mean, you know, if ad valorem taxes are all residential, that's a problem too, right?
But again, you know, like I said, you know, you may decide that, you want to subcontract whatever, landscaping or something along the line, you know.
Yeah,
A certain segment, even though the economy's doing great, that those workers are gonna be displaced, so what happens to them? That's what we need to figure out.
right,
So, you know, our proposal addresses things like that, that's not necessarily a matrix issue.
okay,
A matrix is, you know, we have to shrink the workforce overall by X%.
right,
So now we're gonna have a bunch of displaced people, who stays, who goes, it's
Right.
more of a matrix thing. So the layoff and recall language could be a more localized,
okay.
event.
And I think we did have, if I recall, I was told we had 2 layoffs in the budget, and both of them were, actually got promotions out of the situation. So, I mean, we obviously do try, you know, to place anybody that's displaced.
Yeah, it hasn't been an issue, it's just that I always like to, you know, especially of late, you know,
Yeah.
I'll take Hart as an example, as an employer over in Hillsborough County.
Mm-hmm.
And they never had a layoff in, I think, 22 years. And so all of a sudden in 2009 or whatever it was, they were faced with layoffs, we didn't know how to even do it. The language was so skimpy, it was really never been used before.
Right,
So we had to sit down and hash it out.
yeah,
And so this proposal kind of addresses things before they happen. And obviously it falls under seniority because that's what we believe should be the governing
right,
factor.
okay,
And, you know, I'm sure you heard it all before, but the concern is that if you have 2 employees that do the same thing, they've been doing the same thing all along, one has been getting glowing evaluations and the other one hasn't, you know, the argument is the one that's getting glowing evaluations, if it's not checked, why was it? Because of, you know, the subjective in nature. I mean, that's always a concern. It's always the same argument over and over again. If the employee that's senior is slated for layoff over the junior employee, you know, what did the senior employee do so wrong? If they've been getting disciplined for performance issues constantly, that's
right, yeah,
a little easier to digest
right,
than just, well, they got a 3.8 average and the other one got a 4.1. And the other one's been here for 2 years, like in Doug's case, and first one's been, they're both doing the job, but, you know.
Okay.
Anyway, enough said on that.
okay, very good.
The displacement, you know, maybe that's maybe more in line with the scenarios I described. as
Okay,
far as,
yeah, I'll look at that, I haven't.
if someone's, you know, currently working in a position of being eliminated.
Okay.
So, I mean, unless you have any other questions or you just, about seniority. I mean,
No,
it's
no,
all
no.
pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
You know, we just, we were assured by your council last year that, you know, to kind of take things in baby steps, and we have, you know, we got seniority definitions last time.
Okay.
Okay, we got definitions, but they don't apply to anything. So now we want to get the applications, you know.
Okay.
And we're hoping that you're going to be this breath of fresh air we're hoping for, to at least give us some consideration.
Was there something on safety committee? There was no union proposal for that, so perhaps that's already been agreed upon or whatever?
It was a discussion last time, and,
Yeah,
I
my
think we-
understanding is there's no countywide, but within the departments there are.
I'm in utilities.
Yeah, and I
Safety
think
plan.
We're in the process of putting a committee together in transportation.
Okay. Okay, so it's okay to leave that within the departments, is that?
Well, that's what we kind of discussed we'd do, let every department handle their own, because.
Yeah, every
the
department's kind of
employees-
different, so it's kind of
Yeah,
hard to.
they know what their issues are, and
Yeah.
You
I
guys
think
should.
there was talk of requiring certain
You
compositions.
could just go to everybody's, because you work on all the vehicles.
I think there was talk of requiring a certain composition for the committees,
Yeah,
where they had to consist of,
yeah,
like either at the departmental level and I guess at the county level, some
Yeah.
bargaining union employees.
right, I believe, it was explained to me currently, I think you guys, the union membership or bargaining unit membership at the safety committee generally numbers the people on the other side,
We-
because it's just employee focused, so, is that?
we were thinking, I thought we were thinking more like equal numbers
Yeah,
on each side.
it just may be difficult for us to get that number of people, is all I'm saying, because we, you know,
Yeah,
obviously.
we never really came up with a real number, if it was gonna be 3 on each side or 4
Yeah.
or 2.
This safety article has been carried over for a few contracts, right?
You only had one contract.
Oh, we
We've had
have
two.
On a third one.
That language is the original language, so
okay.
there's only one provision on safety.
Excuse me, but we set that up, and I'm sorry, Kevin, when we had the kangaroo court.
Oh,
We
yeah.
want-
He explained it.
I'm
better.
sorry, Kevin.
He actually described
But
it
we
that way.
want, we wanted our representatives, along with the county, sitting in on the kangaroo court.
Okay, but am I just hearing yes, okay, I agree. But now that it's more department focused.
Yes,
instead of-
now it's back to the, yes,
All right.
exactly.
Very good. Then I'll leave that one be. We might clean up the language just to say, if we ever have a safety committee that's countywide, then we'll have members, in the meantime, since, until it changes, that it's countywide.
Well, this is what I recall, that, the last time we discussed this article, and that, I guess there was a countywide one, and then we started finding out the discussions, like Frank said, he's on one, and then well, how could Frank be on one when there hasn't been a county safety committee in years, and
Yeah.
it turns out he's in a departmental committee. So the language was changed to reflect departmental safety committee. And I don't necessarily recall anything, upsetting about this that we wouldn't agree to it.
Oh, that's fine. Actually, I just okay, so when the county creates a departmental safety committee, the
You gotta-
county
you
will
gotta
allow
unstrike-
at least one union. Yeah, that's fine. We don't have to
Unstrike
do-
the word committee, I guess. This is your
Okay.
proposal, not ours.
That's
But
okay.
unless someone can tell me, not that I'm gonna TA it right now anyway,
Yeah.
but I don't think there's anything wrong with the revision. I don't recall why we didn't sign it last time, I don't know.
I thought we had it worked out.
I thought we did too. I thought you
Yeah.
just wanted to.
Maybe
Yeah,
just
we
get hold of
didn't- we didn't have any
Just
complaints
unstrike
about
it.
the word committee, I think in the first sentence would be
Okay.
the only revision needed.
All right, so health insurance, help me understand, the member of the bargaining unit retiring from service and receiving the retirement benefit from the state may elect to continue the county's group health at his own expense. In circumstances, county pays a premium for retiree in lieu of the 150. So right now, based on what this language suggests, is that we are providing retiree coverage if you have over 30 years. But you're giving us back the $150 subsidy that you receive from the state to pay for that. Am I reading that right? Am I
It's my understanding, right now, after 30 years, you get the insurance, but you have to pay the 150 back to the county. So this is saying that you don't have to pay the 150, or if the employee gets to keep the 150, or they don't have to pay the 150, either way you are.
Yeah,
Only for those who have 30 years of service.
Yeah.
This is already and I think fire's contract, right? Someone can tell me what's something you want to.
no, well, fire has I can tell you, because I just, with firefighters last week, but they have an issue only because they hardly ever get 30 years of service, because of course firefighters are 25 and out, right? So nobody in fire really ever meets that threshold, so they wanted to see a change. But to be very honest with you, retiree healthcare cost is very, very, very costly. Most governments, I know Hernando, does not offer any subsidized retiree coverage. The fact that we're subsidizing $500 a month for each, and granted, 30 years of service is a lot, and I agree with recognizing with that, but that's a very rich benefit that's in there. To ask the county then to subsidize something else that the state is already providing, I would really have a hard time going to my bosses and saying, let's do that. That would be a tough sell.
I understand, and it's, the one, it's Tom Giella was the one that introduced this to us, so.
Yeah, I mean, the
Well,
state's
it was
already,
Tom Long, it was a long time.
yeah, I'm gonna have to, 'cause
All right, well,
the state's already
so-
giving you the money for it. I mean, all we're doing, it's a pass-through, but it's a really, really rich benefit to provide health insurance. I was sort of surprised.
Okay. So your position as a county is still rejecting it?
Yes, I'd go out on a limb with that one, but that's a. But it is a very good benefit. I hope that, I understand even for the time frame, until Medicare, it really is a good benefit. And, we'll probably look at, maybe even some, options for like Medicare,
Supplement.
yeah, Medicare supplements that we might be able to, put in, maybe, I've seen them someplace. It's employee paid, but it really is a nice benefit when we have that. Because they get to, once they reach retire, like the 65, they basically kind of sign the paperwork up through us so that, when you stop having the county insurance, you just roll right into one of the plans. They're the standard A through J plans, but it's possible. It doesn't cost us anything, and it's a really good benefit for the employees to be able to have that.
Very good.
through us, so. Okay.
And then we'll leave this signed off on
Can we get that signed off on the next 62 days, please?
Wait, are you Medicare eligible yet?
No,
Oh, then you're fine. You got a little time.
but I'm retiring in 62
Well,
days.
that's okay. As long as it's in place by the time you turn 65, then we're all set, right?
Yeah, medical leave is the next one open, and I'm thinking it's JJ, on page 31 of 54, and kind of before you have any questions for the moment.
On page
31 of 54.
one, okay. And it's JJ. Qualified employees. I don't see any, union approval, and so was there some change to it?
Um,
Let me see if there was anything that,
I don't see a written proposal either, but I know there was some discussion about doing a payout of,
okay, well, I don't see anything, but if we, there's something, okay, there's a little dash between D and E, was there something there, or?
There was like 3 iterations ago, something about the
Oh, that's right.
probationary employees.
Okay, it was,
Yeah.
I remember this, it
We
was
went
put
Take
in
it
and then
back
take
or
it back out,
something,
so I
and
think
we
we're back
took
to
it
normal.
back out, went right back to original
Yeah.
language.
So my understanding is the county made a proposal that you guys didn't like, and then you said no, and then we were like, okay, never mind.
We took it
and
out.
I was in JJ.
No, I
No,
think it was
way
up
up,
in.
between D and E, you see that line on the side of the margin that shows that something was there and then taken back out.
Yeah, so it appears that it's as.
See that line over there by D and E? Yeah, that was where, it said something about probationary employees had to give the leave back or something, and it was taken back out.
Yeah, so that's okay, but JJ, I got a note on there, it says county rejected union's payout, and I'm kind of going blank with, I guess during caucus we'll look back
Okay,
on those.
yeah, sure. All right, okay, so now we jump into, well, if the next one on your list is 35,
Yes, leave time excluded.
okay, let's, just before we do that, I wanted to flip something by you we can talk about. 34, workers' compensation. I just have a question. When employees go to light duty, I know the law allows us to do a lot of things. A lot of times we just move you to a different position. And that can be a huge hit to someone's pay. Sometimes we actually will use the Florida law, which says, we'll give you light duty assignment, but reduce the pay by the 20%. And that is language that I wanted to add in there about light duty.
20% or, okay, 20% for light duty?
Yeah, it goes to 80%, in other words, yeah, it's a state statute.
Right,
It's very standard, most of them do it, Fernando does it, obviously, unless they've stopped, but I'm sure they were doing it when I was there, I'll tell you that.
We used to have a practice, especially in utilities, no light duty, they sent you to the house.
Yeah, see,
And I know since Kevin, I will say
Right.
this, since Kevin's been here, I know of a few instances where that's went down, you stepped in.
Yeah,
That's really good.
yes, oh yes, light duty is, excellent and necessary and,
It creates problems though, unless it's carefully figured out, because
yeah.
it wreaks havoc on seniority issues if I hurt my foot and the only place I can go to work is in this department, and I'm being stuck into a position that's more desirable by someone else. And
Right.
how does that work?
And well, it's not fair, but that's exactly the light duty position solves that, because it doesn't break your current position, it just makes your own position light duty. So, I mean, it might have a different code, we might call it light duty, but that would, I think, solve your seniority problems.
We do have some light duty programs that prohibit employees from doing bargaining at work.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's more in a two classification work group.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
where everybody, works in the plant, and so when they're on light duty, you're not gonna look at plans and Mr. Collins to do something.
Right. And there's usually work in departments, I mean, quite frankly, in Hernando, I used them for traffic counts a lot. I mean, we always need traffic counts, and quite frankly, it's pretty easy to sit in a truck and, or boats. I used them for a boat one time, boat ramps. Gotta see if we
We
can
had
charge
a
them.
guy on light duty, and all he did was go around paying fire hydrants.
That's a good, thing too, so, I mean, there's a lot of different, trust me, we're big enough, we can find the light duty where we will definitely, and Kevin is, doing a great job with light duty programming, that we're.
Can I answer phones for customer service?
You gotta try it out, let's see.
Just keep your happy voice.
What the hell do you want?
Yeah.
Don't bother me. Click.
Yeah, that maybe
We'll
no.
talk more later.
I can't apply for that job?
So what are you going to, because it's T8 as it is.
Yeah, I understand that, I would like to make, I'll give you a proposal, but
Okay.
all I would like is the ability to apply the state law that says that, we can move you to a light duty position, and if the position, and I don't even care if we put a time frame on it, the problem is, and hopefully it's not a big issue, but sometimes people get way too comfortable in light duty jobs, and you guys know who those people are, I don't have to tell you that. And then all of a sudden, we're stuck because they're in a light duty position for 2 years or whatever. So we want the ability to say, okay, well, if you're in a light duty position, now, obviously, we have the ability to move them to a different job, okay, and so we all understand. But in lieu of doing that and affecting the seniority, I would rather just have the ability to take their light duty wage to 80%. Amazing, they're going to get better right away, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess
Mostly.
the doctors, or so you're saying they're influencing the doctor to not give them a full release or something?
Often, sometimes, maybe not.
Do
No
you
names.
have the name of that doctor? But I know that the workers' compensation article, last time around, the county's proposal was to just have it adhere to chapter 440.
Right.
We had a benefit over and above. Can anyone remind me of what that was? Like is it the time?
7 days, it's the first
Okay,
7 days.
when you first get hurt to the time.
We provide 5 days.
Yeah.
Out of the goodness of our heart,
Yes.
5 days, we pay pre-workers comp.
Right, that's what we
It's
want.
not
to
required.
maintain.
Yeah.
From day
We
one,
don't, okay,
right?
I'll tell you what,
The date of
Status
injury
quo.
for the
we
first 5 days.
can agree to that. I
Right,
don't
and that's
wanna change
what,
that.
that's
what
the
that
second
yes.
sentence of
Yeah.
that.
That's right.
To maintain
And that's
status
still
quo.
in effect.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
From date of injury, yes.
Yes.
uh-huh.
and it's a good thing.
Yeah,
That
and
just-
that's for legitimate injuries, that's great, I'm sorry.
I just clarified Kevin's comment, which is, it was previously out of the goodness of the county, sorry. Now it's pursuant to
Now
contract.
it's out of the union's goodness.
Because we
Well,
agreed to that.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't.
That's a partnership.
Yeah,
You
that-
guys got goodness, we preserve the goodness.
So
No
the,
preservatives added.
so the only thing I would like, the county will maintain the status quo with respect to the compensable benefits for the first, 7 days, that's the benefit, or whatever, however, I just want, like I said, when light duty is assigned,
To include light duty.
just light duty and the reduction, so
So I'll take
80%.
it over.
Okay, thank you. And then, in exchange for that, right?
You'll give us seniority.
What I'm going to do, yeah, well, I'm gonna talk about that, definitely, we're very open-minded.
Is call-out pay the next one?
Leave time included, is that what we have?
Yes,
35.
35.
Oh, that's right, that's cool. Yeah.
Right,
It
yeah,
looks like a sign was going out.
yeah,
So-
so I,
Considering the word planned is what the new language is proposed to be, we're currently, it's not planned.
yeah, I
so-
think holiday leave had been on there too on the table, but I think we're willing to.
Yeah, that ties into the holiday, when we get to the holiday article. You had raised an issue that there was a conflict between 35 and the holiday proposal that we made.
Yeah, that's something I've needed to follow up last time.
Circle holiday leave is an issue that's still not
To give,
resolved.
to give you a little bit of history, holidays and annual leave had always been considered time work.
Correct.
A couple last contract or contract before, it was, I think that was one of the impasse items, I think.
Our proposal originally was only sweat time counted.
Right. And so when we went to impasse, it got settled prior to the magistrate making a decision to just go back to the status quo.
Okay,
And then, and again, that's preserved in there.
right,
Now, when this document was written, changing just annual leave to have to be planned annual leave, if it's approved, it's approved, I don't understand that, but then now, since then, now there's another issue with holiday leave, I
Alright.
guess.
if you'll give us the unplanned, that's when you break down the side of the road with your car, you can't use sick leave, but it's unplanned, so it's unscheduled, it's not necessarily that it's unapproved, or approved or unapproved, it's just that it's unplanned. If you'll give us that, we'll end on holiday, we'll leave holiday in this hours worked, and we have a proposal on holiday pay as well.
Okay, so you want to leave the status quo for holiday if we agree to have it planned
Yes,
versus unplanned?
correct,
We'll talk
okay,
about that, probably.
okay, very good, thank you. 39, well, with 39 we discussed, so I think that, well, let me put it this way, we discussed it in terms of the seniority, and then in terms of your additional language here, all vacancies and bargaining unit positions will be open to all bargaining unit employees, is this ours or theirs? No,
It's yours, this is your 39, we don't have a 39.
oh,
I
okay,
think
all right. So,
We-
that's our proposal, okay, got it,
We rejected this proposal.
okay.
Well, you have language that addresses this in your giant comprehensive
Yeah, if we,
um,
yeah, but.
proposal, right?
So we could just agree to then, like I said, we're gonna discuss all of those issues in here, so
It
we'll
falls
just.
under
Yeah,
seniority, right?
okay,
Yeah.
excellent, yeah, we'll address all. No issue with the promotion grades and all that.
Yeah, the percentage, correct, the grade adjustments, that's fine, it's been that way for,
Yeah. I assume it's 7.5, 10,
well, that's
or
a new,
bottom.
that's a new one, I know.
What's that? It's new?
7.5%, isn't that because of the stuff that we went through with the 911?
That's,
No, you're
for
thinking
the,
night
the
differential.
time, shift differential.
You're
That's
thinking
in
shift differential.
This has always been
Yeah, you
here.
go up that.
1, 2, or 3
Yeah,
grades.
this is,
All right, so 2 grades always been, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The time differential, then, it happens to be the same number, but it has nothing to do with it.
right.
Demotion,
Again, that's part of, wrapped into the seniority, then, once, it's affected by it, so if we can,
okay, all right.
it's not necessarily any one thing in particular in here that I think is, I just wanna make
Okay.
sure it,
Yeah, because when, I think what you're talking about is, the transfer, the displacement policy is what you're referring to, might affect the demotion policy.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah,
but
we'll look
again,
those
the
up.
effects of the demotion on pay,
Right.
you're probably not gonna have any issues with,
Okay.
but, it all kind of falls into the same umbrella.
Thank you. All right, the next one, call-out pay. So, at the employee's option, did we agree to that? Is that good?
Yeah, I think
Is that, was okay?
that's okay.
All right, so apparently we are probably gonna be fine with that.
And just for the record, so the tape recorder knows what we're talking about, in 43, section B, having the employee have the option of whether or not they want to use holiday or leave pay. No, wait, working on holiday, you can use either leave pay on a straight time basis or time off with the equivalent, but it's going to be at the employee's discretion, which is not the case now, it's usually at management's discretion, so that's what you're saying, you might be okay with.
We may be okay with that, yeah, we'll talk about that, I think we're probably okay with that. I mean, honestly, again, it's hard for me to sit here because I don't know how it impacts, if wastewater turns around and goes, oh, great, my plants, now you just impacted my overtime budget by $400,000, and I obviously have a problem. But I think we'll probably be okay with that as long as it's affordable. Okay, so the next one would be 46. Okay. Oh, okay, so you changed that so that it's,
Because that one issue we ran into, remember, me and Doug agreed. Remember when we met with Chris and everybody about the shit?
oh, that's already in there, Frank. I thought it was somewhere that it wasn't gonna affect it. that they were still gonna get the 2 hours
Yeah,
for
we just
call
wanna
out.
make sure whatever, whoever it is, they get that shift differential whenever they work the
Yeah,
shift.
44 was, we have it as TA, is that accurate?
Yeah, Frank would just have some questions
Just
on
making
that.
sure.
Is it definitely shift differential that you're talking about, or is it?
Yeah, that was the grievance Frank and I won, right, Kevin? About 2 hours they were taken away for the,
On their standby.
and then they
something
get,
happened on a weekend, they had to work.
yeah, but
so
then
they-
we're still gonna get the 2
Your
hours.
shift dif- Yeah,
Right.
your
Yeah.
shift differential pay.
Yes.
You keep your shift differential if you gotta jump in and help somebody on the weekend.
Right, yep.
Yeah, but doesn't that actually fall under something else like?
This
call-out?
wasn't a
Hey,
call-out
it-
situation, it was more, they were working on one location, they had to go help somebody else somewhere else. They were on weekend shift differential pay, so they get to keep it was that situation, is the way I
Yeah.
understand it.
Clearly,
Okay.
It affected shift differential pay, the agreement was
Contract,
keep
right?
them in shift differential status.
It obviously says what you want.
So 44.
Or,
right.
oh, you know what it was, it
It was
was
in 40
Standby,
pay. It's
that's right, standby.
pay.
There were two grievances resolved, the language we added was in 42 and in 44.
That's it.
We TA'd
40, it was standby,
TA'd both
not
of those.
shift.
Standby, yeah, the
You're-
guys
When
were
you're in
on
standby
standby.
status.
Oh, yeah, here it is, yeah.
Right, and
if
you go
really
help
on standby,
somebody
you
else
work an extra
on the
shift
weekend,
without
they still get
forfeiting
You
to
still keep your standby pay.